Thank you for joining Friends sEyeView Spoilers. This is Shaun, along with my buddy Jose.
Hello.
So, you recommended a movie last time.
Yes.
I went into it like any other movie.
Okay.
Where like I said, I don't read the reviews. I may read what it's about, but I don't want anything to spoil what I'm expected to think of it. You know, I don't want anything to taint it. So I went into it almost, how do you say this? Pleasantly surprised, you know?
Okay. I thought you would.
Because typically I would go into a movie like that thinking that it was kind of an agendized movie.
Okay.
Not saying that there isn't awareness and different things that are put inside movies, because every great movie has like a moral thing or awareness or some kind of agenda that's kind of subtle.
Sure.
In today's world, you start seeing more of that on the forefront, to where they forget the real reason why they're watching the movie. Because there's only two types of movies. There's autobiography, or not autobiography, but documentary or fiction. That's it.
Okay.
It's either a documentary or a fiction. And documentaries, well, people are entertained by documentaries because they're going to be learning something.
Okay.
The entertainment threshold is much lower because of that fact.
Okay.
When people are watching a fiction movie, their first and foremost is always the story itself. Is the story good? Is the story enjoyable? And then those undertone lessons or awareness or anything else is subtle, but a part of the story, you know?
Okay, sure.
So I didn't know how it was going to be, if it was going to be one where they're just jamming it, a specific agenda, basically.
Okay. Yep.
But when I watched it, I got to tell you, and I was trying to figure out how am I going to score this, because I'm probably never going to give a movie a 10.
Okay.
Because there's no such thing as the perfect movie.
Okay.
So I started going, is it a 9? Is it a movie I would actually search out if I needed to watch a movie? And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't think that if I go, hey, look, because there's very few of those movies.
Okay.
We actually reviewed one of those movies.
Sure.
There's several out there that are like that. But would I watch it multiple times? Absolutely, I would watch it multiple times. Not only would I watch it multiple times, but I would also recommend it.
Ah, nice. Okay.
So with that being said, I have to give this movie an 8, a solid 8.
Okay. All right. I, on the other hand, I actually, the reason why
I didn't give it 8.5, so 8.5, just because
that's my score, 8.5.
Yeah, like I said, because there's not much difference between 8 and a 9.
Yeah,
the 9 for me, the 9 is it has to be a movie that I would search out.
Gotcha.
I just happen to, I'm in a movie mood. I'm going to go to Netflix or wherever, and I'm going to look for this movie specifically. Gotcha. So that's a really hard one. There's not a lot of those movies, but they do exist.
Yeah. I mean, for me, those type of movies exist because I still search for them on Hulu. I still search for them on Netflix. I still search for them on Prime.
Like I said, I mean, those movies they exist. Those 9s exist. Like I said, we went over a 9.
Yeah.
Probably run into other 9s that I don't even know yet. So like I said, with this, I was so pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone should definitely watch this movie.
Yeah, I am glad you enjoyed it. I came across on it just because I saw the trailer for it on a commercial, and I wanted to go see it in the theater. And I didn't get a chance to go do that because I would have loved to see it on the big screen. But, my 65-inch is pretty good. So, so, so it's not bad. So I did watch it, and I actually enjoyed it. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Pretty good.
Yeah, we are referring to American Fiction. If I don't know if we actually said it
Yes.
before we started talking, but American Fiction. But I liked what his problem was, and this is where it started off with. It's labeled as drama slash comedy,
Yes.
which we will talk about more. One of the things I appreciated about it is I told you, like for comedy for me, I like things that are kind of dark humor. I like things that are more obscure. It's why I find things like Family Guy very funny or South Park very funny. It's because they're very obscure. They're out there. I like that duality, that comes with it, like and not poking fun of, but pulling the humor out of topics that are traditionally more risky.
Yes.
And that's why I like comedians that are like that. Like I like Dave Chappelle because he's that way. He will pull comedy out of things that you are a little more
reserved about. Yeah. Yes.
And that's why I find them funny. And this movie, like I said, sometimes they'll say comedy and it's not really comedy.
Yes.
This movie definitely had its fair share of moments that made me laugh. So I give the writer complete credit.
Gotcha.
Like I said, there were plenty of times where it wasn't just a chuckle, it was like a real laugh. And like I said, the dark humor was definitely on point. Like as his dad shot himself.
Yes.
He's on that phone call. The guy goes,
yeah.
He did a simulation of shooting himself, and then looks like, oh, I'm sorry, your dad? I was just like, yes. I was excited. But I really like this problem. This problem is like a realistic problem, too.
Yeah, of course.
Is that, and they did a great analogy of this problem, too. But we'll talk about that more in a different act. But his problem is he wants to be taken as a serious writer.
Yes.
In a world where they a lot of times they want less serious things.
Less serious scripts, less serious stories, less serious movies. Yes.
Sometimes they even want the stereotypical things.
Yes.
To come out of, because he's an African American writer, and believe me, there's plenty of demand for the next Fridays and the Fridays after next and the Fridays next month and different things where you kind of have like that culture. How do you say this? Like the hood culture kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
But I don't think that it's fair to think that that's the only way that Black people talk or the Black people write or, and things like that. So, I mean, you're probably going to run into this even in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because those stereotypes do exist, and unfortunately, those stereotypes sometimes are pretty popular, And so he had a real problem, which is
he did, yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree. And he didn't want to go down that rabbit hole as far as stereotypical stories based on what others' perceptions of Black people are.
Yeah, which is. And it was, so from like awareness standpoint, it made me think is like, because, as a Caucasian man, and one of my favorite lines in that movie, and that's how I see things, is he's like, I don't care about race. Because I don't care about race. I mean, my girlfriend's Venezuelan. I live in Colombia. A lot of people I care about are Latin. I mean, one of my best buddies and business partner named Jose Martinez. It's not Latin American or Puerto Rican American to me. He's just Jose,
Yeah, indeed.
So I could see where that could be like a real challenge that a real writer might have because I don't think that most people are racist, but I know that stereotypes do exist.
Yeah. But then you have the dilemma that he's going through where he doesn't want to go down that rabbit hole, but at the same time, his personal life is pretty much falling apart, and then yeah, exactly. So exactly right. And so that's why for me, I can understand. And then that's where Issa Rae's character comes in, and she's like, I just give the people what they want, she's getting paid for it, So is she willing to, just give the people what they want in order to, make ends meet like most people want to do? They want to survive. They want to be able to provide for their family. So
I mean, writing is like anything else. It's a product,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that. Like, Act 1, I thought was fantastic. And I really liked how they did the inciting event.
Okay.
I think the inciting event in a movie should be a big thing.
Okay.
So in this particular case, the inciting event because obviously our protagonist is the main character.
Sure.
Monk is his name.
Yes.
But the inciting...
I don't understand how he got the nickname Monk, but I digress. Go ahead.
Now, what's funny about that is, like, I relate to that because I have African-American friends who are called all kinds of things that are no close to their name whatsoever.
Gotcha.
So I kind of related to that because that may be a cultural thing.
You could have. It's it's a 2023 film. It could have been because he may have the same characteristics as the character Monk on the TV show. It could be because he is, like a goody two shoes kind of a person, so they call him a monk, or they did that because I mean, that's how I took it anyway.
No. I'm saying like I'm just saying like I have seen that.
Gotcha.
Well, so Monk, he goes into the inciting event, which is his sister dying,
and
I think inciting events should be kind of big because they set the story in motion into where the character is going to be, their life is going to be changing. And what better way than something as catastrophic as maybe a death? Because it's going to propel you in a different route every single time,
Yeah, of course. The finalization of it all. Oh yeah, most definitely.
I liked his mother, and I thought it was hilarious. Like, she seems like a sweet lady. When he goes to hug her, and he's like, and her first words out of her mouth were, "You're getting fat." That's when I started realizing that. I mean, there were a couple of things beforehand that made me laugh too, and that was the thing, is there was enough comedy in there to kind of, and that's what kind of spurred his next life. What's going to happen, and then he was trying to write this be taken serious.
Yeah.
And then he goes into creating that book as a joke.
Yeah.
And that book is and that was cool about it because like he creates that book as a joke, but the book has to sell. He has to actually go along with it because at that same time his mother needs something. So
he has to be able to provide. Yeah.
So you had that conflict of, I don't want to publish shit, but I need to support my mother. And what was good about it was like nobody else was in a position to help at all.
Exactly.
His sister was dead. The brother was divorced, doing cocaine. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the protagonist. So you had this conflict that was perfect.
Yeah.
Because no matter, like, you had the family conflict for sure. It was.
Yeah. You have the internal conflict for sure.
Yeah, the internal conflict. And that's what good writing is like every story is there has to be conflict continuously. There's lots of conflict because that's what we strive on. We strive on those conflicting ideas and personalities and inner turmoils that come with different things,
Yeah, of course.
And then, we go into act 2.
Okay.
And what I liked about that, obviously, is they started escalating the stakes more. Like they're like, yeah, he's a convicted criminal. It's wanted by the FBI.
Yeah.
and so now they keep raising the stakes, which was because you have to do that with the movie. Is the stakes have to keep getting higher and higher and higher. And then it literally gets to the point to where, like, he can never return back to the life that he had. He found love, so, you had a little romance there.
Yeah.
What's funny was that she's a serious writer, but then she buys his book, which he names as Fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Buys it and actually enjoys the book.
Yeah. That's the only thing. Yeah, when I he says, yeah, in order for me to, that's the only way that I'll agree to publish it if you change the name. Oh, okay. Wow.
No.
And they did it. What? And both of them at the same time. Like, what?
Now, a part that made me laugh really hard was the where he meets the director to talk about movie rights.
Yes.
And he's trying to act like he's from the hood, which in the movie he's clearly from a good family.
Yes, of course.
Probably never even went to the hood. Probably doesn't even know where the hood is. And he's trying to act a gangster. And then when the ambulance came, and he runs thinking that it's for his mother.
Yes.
But that's how he convinces the director that he's the real deal.
Yeah, because
and then turns around and gets a bigger offer.
Yeah, because he ran when he heard the police sirens. So they said, okay, I gotta go. Oh yeah, it was.
I love the analogy though, like, because we talked about it a little bit prior to this. Like I think the Johnny Walker is a perfect analogy for this. Red label, black label, blue label. Red label for me are movies that are like 5 or below.
Okay.
Not really good storylines, maybe based off of stereotypes, maybe, like, how do you say this? Like they're not really all that amazing. Like they're
okay.
They're okay.
Like mediocre. Kind of like mediocre. Yeah, a little bit, maybe below mediocre. Yeah, I guess. Okay.
And then, you have your black level, which I think would be like 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
And then your blue label, which will be like your 8s to 10s,
Sure.
Where, it's usually a very complex storyline, stuff that will probably win awards, but maybe not destroy the box office, Like they may do well, and they probably do, and most of them do well, but they're like some of the greatest films that destroy the box office, like the ones like Shawshank Redemption.
Sure.
Most people would agree that that's probably there's not the best movie, but it's probably at the top for a lot of people, like The Green Mile, etc. These are movies that are considered almost classics,
Okay. Yeah.
They've won massive awards, but they didn't destroy it in the box office, And then your black label is where I think that most screenwriting should be at, that should be the goal,
Yeah.
And I like that analogy, man, when they were talking about it, and the Act 3 was great, where he had to come to terms and start telling people that he is the guy and everything else,
Yeah.
kind of wrapping up. Was it Stag? Was his name? His
Yeah.
and like I thought it was good. There's no fault in it at all. It had plenty of conflict,
Mm-hmm.
and it had humor, lots of humor. It had symbology, it had everything else that you could want in it.
And this movie was actually up for an Oscar for Best Picture. But I believe it was Oppenheimer's the one that won, but also Jeffrey Wright was nominated as Best Actor, but then that also went to Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer as well.
Yeah, because
Or Jillian, what's his name? It's not Cillian, it's I forgot how you pronounce his name, but him. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean I'll have to look at
Killian, I think it's Killian with a C. Killian Murphy.
we
yeah.
can do Oppenheimer if you want to add that to the list.
Okay.
I'm assuming Oppenheimer will probably be one of those that's probably broaching the blue label when it comes to writing. It's probably a very sophisticated writing, storytell. And that's what you really go. Those are the ones that get awards,
Yeah.
This one, the nomination obviously helps, because that goes on the stuff. But yeah, like I said, this is a solid Black label film.
Gotcha.
It's sophisticated enough and has a lesson and things in it that it's not a red label.
Yeah, sure.
But it's simple. It's simplified of enough storyline with comedy and characters and just the nuances.
Yeah.
Dysfunctional family that went along with it. That it kind of stays out of the blue label.
Sure.
But I would definitely say that this is an 8.5 movie,
Yeah. What for me to add to the movies that you and I watch, and we spoke briefly about it earlier, was prior to talking about it on our podcast. We spoke about it privately. But for me, I enjoy movies, and you're making me see it from a different point of view now that, we're starting to do things together as far as writing. But at the same time, I used to just watch movies for entertainment value.
Yeah.
And I would liken it to, hey, could I see this happening in my life? Has it happened in my life? Where did my life make a turn, or did it after watching a movie or something like that? And that's how, so this movie kind of hit home in the fact that, he has his own life, but at the same time, he's thrusted back into his family, being close to them and trying to, provide for them and their needs as well as his own, So, and I can visualize myself doing that because I care for my mother, who's 82 years old. She lives by herself still, and thank God she's able to do that. But I'm only 19 miles away, and I'm constantly calling and constantly over there at the same time to see, and she's over here visiting. So I can see myself in that character as well, as far as taking care of family and still trying to provide for my immediate family the comfort in their lifestyle and everything. So it was pretty entertaining for me in that regards.
And that's good writing, and that's what you want, and that's what people do. Is like when you're making characters, they have to be characters that people can relate to some level.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because that's what people are doing. Is you're yes, you're telling a story, but they are subconsciously kind of looking at their lives and kind of relating to them at some level, and you want them to relate to the character. I really liked the conflict they had with this family, because it was kind of like he loves his family, but he doesn't love them at the same time. Like he wasn't exactly thrilled to go back to Boston.
Yeah.
But he's still being a family member, even though, and I think that's realistic, because not every family is as happy, everybody get along perfectly, the world is great type situation. I would argue that more families are like his, where it's kind of like they are my family. I'll be there for them, but I'm probably not going to jump on a plane and go visit them in Boston unless I had to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the opening where he had the conflict with his fellow co. Like that whole scene was hilarious. Like it started off hilarious because those two battling it out verbally in the office. It was hilarious. But yeah, definitely I would recommend it, especially for anybody who's a writer. But I would recommend it to anyone. Like I would definitely watch it again. So that's why I say like it's definitely 8.5 for me.
Definitely go out and see this movie. You will thoroughly enjoy it, most definitely.
Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. I did it because like I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, I don't watch the trailers. I might read what it's about. I don't typically read what it's about. The only one I really read what it was about before it started was the Vampire Girl, the one that we did. And as we had already talked about how excited I was about that movie on the last. So I just stopped reading it so I wouldn't be disappointed. I just go in it blind and just take it as it is, you know. It is what it is. So yeah, like this was solid, man.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it because I know I did. So yeah, we're good.
Yeah, so you know, we got our list. We're making it. You'll send me that list later. Your input.
I will. But any indication of what you want to go over next week, or we're gonna keep everyone waiting and guessing?
No, I think we shouldn't wait till the list is done because we're going back. You're putting a list.
Take care of that later today, then. Okay.
And then we're just gonna randomize it or whatever we're gonna do, and just kind of go from there. So I don't know what we're going to do.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, at least for now.
Okay, I will send you my list within the next few hours or so.
Absolutely.
Maybe even this evening. We'll see.
So that means probably during the week.
Tomorrow. You know me so well.
No, because what will happen is you start making a list, and then like
I gotta add
things that will need to happen at your house will all need to be happening at the same time.
Yeah, well, you know, not all of us can live the charm life that you do.
I'm sensing a little bit of
No, not at all.
We just need to get you and me writing these screenplays because you know obviously I got 2 damn near finished.
Yeah.
We need to do some together, obviously.
Definitely.
And maybe even put out a course at some point to go over things that I've learned.
Yep. Sounds like a plan.
Help people. And they'll just kind of go from there. Because I'm trying to get you to my level. Matter of fact, we need to be neighbors.
There you go.
You have exactly 3 years until the house is done.
Yeah.
Or less than 3 years, 2.5, just because it's a brand new neighborhood.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
You got plenty of time to plan it to be my neighbor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, and don't think I'm not. I've already started, so we should be there. Most definitely.
You see? So until next week, buddy.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. We'll talk soon.
You too, buddy.